motivated. What's up, team? Welcome back. For those of you that are coming back, for those of you who are new, welcome. My name is Arneet Singh. This is the Acing Podcast, and episode 2, the sequel. Hoping to be more The Dark Knight than, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes 2. Both starring George Clooney, actually, if nobody knew that. Fun facts with Arneet. First and foremost, thank you to everybody who reached out to me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere about the first episode, feedback, criticism, compliments, everything. All my love to you. It was an incredible thing to read everybody's thoughts on the show and what people liked, what people didn't like. But I think most importantly, the people that reached out to me about being on the show and collaborating and guest starring and talking about stuff was awesome. People want a platform, and I'm here to give it to them, and people responded. And yes, most of them were my friends. All of them were my friends, but still great because everybody has a little bit of knowledge about something, or a lot of knowledge about something, or a lot of things. Me personally, I'm a master of none, jack of all trades. I know a little bit about everything, not the full amount of a few things. But that shouldn't detract you from wanting to talk about the things that you care about. So thank you again to all the people that reached out. That it means something that people responded in whatever way. You do this stuff to pull out some kind of creative thing that's hidden inside of you that you don't have any other outlet for. And for anybody to feel any way about it means that it meant something. So, we're going to keep going. We're going to episode 2 to episode 2000. Let's see. Who knows what's up? Quick thing. This is the second time that I'm filming this episode. 2 hours ago, I went ahead and I recorded a 20-minute episode, and I, felt a little bit weird about it, just because, it's getting the second time jitters out. It's like the movie Holes. The first hole isn't as hard as the second hole because you got blisters on your hands. It's the same thing where I've watched back the first episode a multitude of times in editing and afterwards, and noticed little things that I did or didn't like about the way that I was talking, the way that I presented myself, or whatever else. And it was really fascinating because I just went off the cuff. I did it exactly the way that I did it for the most part, aside from a couple of adjustments, as I did episode 1. I talked the way that I wanted to talk. I felt the way that I felt the last time. And by the end, I really thought that I had some good stuff going. It wasn't until I threw it onto my MacBook to start editing the episode that I realized I'm doing something that felt so completely unnatural and contrary to the way that I felt doing it the first episode. I had structured the episode for a couple of segments, and I wanted to talk about a certain couple of things. And I think even halfway through recording, I realized this doesn't feel organic. This doesn't feel ephemeral the way that the last episode did, where I just kind of talked. And it's really interesting to me to find that out about how I want to do this. I really thought that I went in with ideas. I wanted to talk about this particular thing, or I wanted to shed light on this thing. I wanted to compile notes and research and blah, 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 blah. But as soon as I did that, I pulled away from the thing that made the first episode inherently watchable, which was me just kind of spilling out my guts and talking about something that I already wanted to talk about. I had some idea of what I wanted to go into the first episode talking about, and I just kind of went with that. I didn't overdo it. That's the thing. You can't overthink this shit. You have to just, sometimes just off the dome, you got to go, because that's when the realest and best stuff will come out. And you'll notice that first episode, there aren't any cuts in it. That was the easiest edit job of my life, because all I did was put music on it and chop off the top and the bottom. That was it. There were no cuts in that video. I went 19 minutes without thinking, really. I just talked. And I didn't really do that with the first time that I went in to record episode 2, because I was thinking so much harder about, okay, this is how it's going to look, this is how it's going to feel, this is how blah, 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 blah. And now I get it. Now I get why there is such a variety of podcasts in so many different formats and so many different styles that all work. You know, you go to like some of my favorite podcasts, 99% Invisible. Roman Mars takes a story, writes it for radio format, and narrates it, interspersed with interviews. That's a structured episode that feels great, super smooth. In contrast to something like the Joe Rogan podcast or Mark Maron, where it's just free-flowing conversation and there's not really any rhyme or reason to it, except Mark's got some questions ready to go. But other than that, lets it flow in whatever direction it's going to go. And that podcast is equally as good. Every person is going to have a different way of doing a certain thing. And no two ways are any better or worse in comparison. The difference is execution. And once you find that out about yourself, what style you fit, what works for you, then there's no problems. You don't have to worry about anything, because you know that about yourself. You know that if you do this well, and if you execute it well, then it's great. The only preparation you have to do is get yourself in a space where you're comfortable. Comfort does add to the level of execution of anything. If you are comfortable, then you are good to go. If you are uncomfortable, you're in your own head. It's like, I've used this comparison a lot. You don't want to be doing things. You want to be feeling things a little bit sometimes. You want to just like playing a bass. You don't want to be thinking about the notes. You want to just be feeling the groove and just going after it. You know, you see those guys that are just, they're feeling it. There's a difference between the way Flea plays bass and your normal corner ninth grader. One guy is feeling the music. The other guy is just thinking about it. So I junked the entire episode. This is a brand new cut. I'm not gonna think too hard about it. I'm just gonna go. And the other part of it was, I was thinking the segments that I wanted to do, one of them was inherently, seriously, crazily political. And I know enough about politics to talk about politics, but as I was going through and editing it, I thought to myself, is this what I want to be doing? Is this how I want to be going about talking about something like this? I would rather be the diplomat in between two sides than a person arguing for one side without letting up. I can debate. I said in the last episode, I can talk circles around people, but is that the type of person I want to be for you guys? I don't think so. I think I would rather mediate the conversation than, just argue one side or the other. And that doesn't mean that I'm not part of the conversation or I'm not contributing. If anything, I'm directing it. Hollywood director directing a conversation. There we go. The whole personality set makes sense now. We do things a certain way that makes sense to us, and we can't let other people make those decisions for us. We have, when you go into a new project, when you go into a new creative outlet, or even, you're doing something at work that requires logic, you have to figure out what way works best for you to get the job done as well as it can possibly be done. And if you don't do that, you're never going to feel good about your work. You're never going to feel productive. You're never going to get to a place of satisfaction. One of the other things that I do is photography, and I don't settle for that's something that I I'm pretty jazz about. I'm pretty free form. I'll go out late at night and I will just shoot just whatever looks good at the time, and then I'll worry about editing it later. I mean, obviously with photography, it's more than just point and shoot. I have to make sure, I have to know what the settings are. I have to be technically versed. I have to make sure my ISO is perfect, make sure my aperture is perfect, make sure my shutter speed is perfect, make sure the white balancing is right. But once that's all set up, the world is mine for the taking. I can do whatever I want, and then I can edit it whatever way I want. And that is just the way that I do it. I know there are people who want to, when they shoot with models, for example, they want to control every movement of the model. But there are other photographers like me who would go into a shoot and say, this is the mood. This is the feeling that I want. And in tandem with that, you have to also be able to express that yourself. You can't just rely on the person to know exactly what you're saying. You need to be able to do it and show them, lead by example. That's the type of person I am. There's two sides to the coin, but that's the type of person I am. And you will find your own way too. Whatever you decide to do. So there's that. You know, I thought I was going to have more to say, but I mean, that's kind of it. I did with the political one. I'm not a fan of President Trump, but I said I wouldn't get political, and that's going to continue to be the case. I will mediate the conversation. I will not say I'm not going to go out there and air my dirty laundry or anything like that, or my thoughts one way or the other too much. But I have to say, the audio that I came up with for the segment, I was pretty proud of myself. It's pretty good. It's Hail to the Chief with me going at the end. That's all the context I'm going to give you. I'm not going to go crazy. But I guess let's talk about what's going to happen going forward. Because, as I said at the top of the show, I have a much better idea of what I want to be doing going forward. I had a bunch of people reach out to me and want to collaborate. At some point, we will talk a little bit of politics. At some point, we will talk a little bit about economics. I have a lot more information now about stock trading than I did a year ago because I joined Robinhood and I started trading for real. And so just like little bits of information, and after a little bit of research, I can talk about it. And then I have a director friend, Ned Record, who I'm actually doing a film with right at this very moment. That's in the process. And we're shooting it over Zoom, and it's a really, really interesting shoot. It's a really interesting style that we're going for. And I'm playing a part. I'm actually acting in it, and it's been really fun to do. It's called Open Window, and I will tell you guys more about it as it gets closer to release. But it's been really fun to do. And Ned is one of my best friends. I love him to death. He's a wonderful human being. And I'm going to have him on the show at some point to talk about his top 10 favorite pieces of cinematography in film history. And I'm excited to do it. At the podcast that I did before this, a couple of years ago with a friend of mine, I was going to have Ned come on and talk, but you know, it just didn't work out. But I'm really excited to have him on because he has such a unique and very intelligent opinion on what makes a shot good, what makes a movie good. And I think you guys are going to really enjoy listening to him because he waxes poetic, but in a way that really transports you into his mind, and it makes you feel what he's saying. That's rare. I love that about him, and I can't wait to have you guys meet him. It's going to be awesome. Yeah, that's it. Really. Damn, I really thought this was going to be longer. The last episode was 25 minutes. Okay. How about this? I will send you all off every episode with just like a little nugget, just a tiny one. One of the other segments that I was going to do was talking about YouTube comments, or just comments on the internet. And I was going to just talk about, don't let them hurt you. Who are the people that are trolling on comment sections? Those are people who are saying the things that they say, doing the things that they do because either they haven't gotten enough attention in their lives, or they have been hurt and are trying to put their hurt on other people. It's like undiagnosed pain. And then showing you examples of what are some really good comment sections. And I will, maybe I'll get into it at some point and I will show you those. Because there's one video that I really like on TikTok that the comment section is just, it's such pure-hearted gold. But the thing that I will get into is one of the things that I mentioned in the last episode was just I've been thinking about what it means to be a good friend. And being a good friend means different things to different people. And having good friends and what good friends are is different to everybody. When I look at a person who I want to have a friendship with or a relationship with, I think about the way they make me feel about me. Do they lift me up? Do they make me feel positive about the things that I don't feel so positive about? Are they trusting in my opinion of them as they are trusting of their opinion in me? I think it's really important, especially now in this time where we're isolated and we don't have anybody else to talk to except for the people that we already know. That we kind of do like a Facebook purge or an Instagram purge in real life, an actual purge of the people that are not complementary to the person that you're trying to be, or the way that you're trying to feel positive. It's now more important than ever to recognize the people around you who lift you up, who are there for you right now, and recognize the people that aren't, and allow those friendships, the latter friendships, to just kind of sail away down the river. Just if it's not going, then let it go. No harm, no foul. It's kind of like the way you think about what you invest your money in these days. I obviously, clearly invest way too much money in shoes, and what good is that doing me right now when I haven't had shoes on my feet in a week? I love them. I still love them, but they're just not really that useful to me right now. And if I got into a real pinch where I was like really broke and needed rent money, those are the first things I would sell. Those are the first things I tend to send down the river, as much as I love them. The difference between that and a bad friend is they're not bad friends. They make me feel great about myself. A bad friend doesn't. And that should actually be an easier sell down the river, is if that person is belittling you or making you feel like you're not worth it, or you're not as talented as you believe yourself to be or you actually are. If they make you feel like you don't deserve happiness, plain and simple, let them go. Just let them go. If they're criticizing you all the time and never giving you a compliment for anything, let them go. I'll be your friend in lieu. You can come to me and I will tell you how beautiful you are, how wonderful you are. You are so talented. You are so kind. You are so sweet to people. You deserve all of the happiness in the world. I'll be that friend if you have to send somebody else away. But let that happen. Kind of like the way that with everybody going inside, people not being on the streets anymore, the pollution in the air of LA, it's the cleanest that it's ever been. It's the cleanest air in the world right now by a lot of reports. you know, the Earth is kind of just, it's taking back its planet. And it's organic. It's happening. And we just have to let it happen. And it's benefiting all of us. Let your relationships happen organically too. But always know who's number one. Okay? That's you. You are number one. You need to care the most about you. You need to make good decisions for you. You are the only person that matters. There we go. Okay. That would be the end of an episode. That's a good ending. Keep that in mind for next time. Till then, hit me up on Spotify now, SoundCloud, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Follow the link. I will share it with everybody. Thank you again for all the love and support that I've gotten these last few days from episode 1. Hopefully you guys feel the same way about episode 2. But again, if not, as long as I am not Hot Tub Machine 2 and closer to the Dark Knight, that would be nice. That'd be great. Let me know. Either way, let me know. Until then, signing off. Stay sharp. Stay motivated. Love you guys.